And we're back with Richard Reviews. Today we're reviewing a book for richardreviews.com/Griffin Chestnut here on YouTube. And today's book Richard will be reviewing for us is The Town and the City by Jack Kerouac. This is the debut novel by the author of The Road. This being Jack Kerouac's first novel that he ever created. The Town and the City. It is also one of Jack Kerouac's largest and longest pieces. Richard being a big fan of Jack Kerouac, and of course the Beat generation and the beatnik generation of the 1950s and 60s. Richard is a huge fan of. He read a significant amount of works put out by the Jack Kerouac himself, and he exclaims that this piece right here, The Town and the City, is in fact one of his favorites of Mr. Kerouac, as it comes to a significant closure. A lot of this piece is actually biographical of Mr. Kerouac himself, and that is one of the main reasons why Richard finds that it's one of those special places that admittedly he's never been to until he completed reading this piece. So this piece on its own is a Richard piece, and he rates it very high with 2 thumbs up for this piece. We're going to get into this piece right here and what makes this piece everything that it is. A lot of people are early to dismiss this piece because it sort of has a different narrative and a nihilistic tone of view, especially with the main character Peter, who is obviously a portrayal of Mr. Jack Kerouac himself, as he debates the two scoundrels of the small town he grew up in the rural area of Boston, and of course the city where he strives to become a professional athlete, football per se. And there's every bit of this as you can imagine, in terms of getting into certain different types of French cigarettes, to the dark ages in America, the final phase of an empire. It's quite an anomaly. And the main character, of course, does not develop type 2 diabetes, but he does understand how you go from the foremost burgers, cheeseburgers, and regular just steak rib and a pork fried rice, through Denny's, versus a small town beat. A small town beat, as Richard would like to exclaim, is it's very short-lived, and it's around 2012 to 2013. So you would see all these videos on YouTube popping up about all these 2012 to 2013 mesmerizing videos on Jack Kerouac, and he was here in the beginning to proclaim his prolificity. And I think it was a 2012 video about the entire restaurant that Kerouac had invited himself onto. So that was definitely portraying of that novel. This piece right here, I'm going to take a look at the dimensions and the quality of the piece. Richard obtained this piece right here in 2014. A prime year for Richard. It was a prime year for Richard. It was a prime year for a lot of people, especially Richard in his primest. And he had a lot of a deep cognition within this thematical element, which was forefronted in the rest of his work. Richard was worried about this piece, claiming that it was one of the pieces that was always on Richard's mind, as he always wanted to obtain it. Now, as we look at the piece here, we're going to take a look at the small text on the bottom, and it says verbatim in this small area: Kerouac was a breath of fresh air when it came onto the literary scene. He was a force to be reckoned with, a force, not like Star Wars force, a different type of force. A tragedy, a triumph, and an ongoing influence and pleasure that is still with us. And this was said by Norman Miller. Norman Miller, of course, the famous politician who created the X-Men in a rivalry with Scott Smith and the other lasting Marvel characters that were created at 3 a.m. in the morning at McDonald's. This is a piece based after that, and we're going to get into the dimensions. this piece right here, like we said earlier, this is a rather thick piece. It's a pretty big piece for the town and the city, but the dimensions are pretty good. So the screen on the top is good, and there's good brim wall all around the side. Okay, and what you want to look at, you're going to want to look at corner brim wall to corner, corner to corner, stop, stop, and notch. So corner to corner, stop, stop, and notch, and you have a flat, indelved piece. This piece is very indelved, and you can see the indelved nature. It's got this good brim. It's got that thick brim that you want, especially with a piece like this. And you want that good brim. You want to keep that good brim for yourself and for everybody around us. When Richard was researching this piece, this is obviously noted as Mr. Peter himself being shown. As a matter of fact, it's a steak and shake place. He's on the train, obviously. He's boarding, and Peter is ready to proclaim his parking in the world of the top notch. And with these, you bring a certain element of criddle, and the criddle that comes from the book is distraught and then pushed together and smacked. That's the criddle that you'll be able to find in the town and the city. Now, as for the piece itself, it's got great cream along the top, along the side, and along the side, and even on the side, Jack Kerouac, the town and the city, Harcourt. And on the back, of course, there is more notions based on the publishing club, which were the ordering of Chinese, which you can go into here, but Richard claims that it's neither here nor there, and Richard is a part of a crackdown unit that shows resistance towards the residual effects of ordering pizza online. Okay, and over here, it is fiction. It's labeled as fiction, and the price we have over by the small barcode area, which is a thumbprint away, is $17, priced at $17 US, and of course it's also listed as being higher in Canada, which is a significant retribute as for the premium promotion that was surprised in the ideal example that Richard was able to throw at the little girl. The piece on its own, once we get into it, does have some sort of a text here. Looks like it said the Union, but that is unconfirmed at the moment. The town and the city. And the town and the city. So this magnum piece, this magnum opus, is a deliverance on the column that is column G and column P for the Jack Kerouac and Jack Kerouac legislator. As you can tell, most of this is thoroughly textified in different stylistic penguins, and you'll be able to notice that the text is rather small, but it cleans up nice with the affirmable mention. And towards the end, there is a stylistic point to bring in the reader to a substantial point. So, the last copy of this, on the last page, we have right here, $4.99. So we're going to round it out at 581 pages. So this is a 581 page piece by Jack Kerouac himself, and this is one of his magnum opuses, like Richard has exclaimed. But here's Richard's dilemma. He considers the fact that if you wish to season this with what's been reasoned in the past about the normalcy of this beautiful magnum opus, Richard claims that this piece will get a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 stars, 5 out of 5 fingers, and 2 thumbs up all the way up past the 10 out of 10 limit. So that's 2 sesame seed buns wrapped up on a sesame seed platter. And Richard claims that this is none other than his best work that he will be able to bring into show and tell for the thick and final to appreciate. So that's it for Jack Kerouac, The Town and the City. This is Richard Reviews.